to the Mostly Meera Podcast, and we're here for the Valentine's Day special. Before you roll your eyes, it is not going to be some cringy romance, I love this person, that person. No, we're not doing that this episode. This episode, I asked you guys to write to me about your dilemmas and your problems, and I went for a mix. I went for the desi problems, and I went for the Valentine's, millennial, Gen Z issues that we're all having. So I'm going to read you out your problems and I'm going to give you advice. But before we all do that, I wanted to talk about what Valentine's Day really means, because I know everyone's like hyped up on the Hallmark greeting card aspect of it, but I also think that it really means to just show who we really love. Like, I know that I'm making Shahzaib a little Valentine's Day basket because I love him so much. And his school has an initiative where they're doing a Palentine's Day. So their pals are going to have like chocolates and a little letter message to them. And these guys are like 3-4 years old. So they already know the meaning of love doesn't necessarily have to mean in love. Like, I know that I've got my girls, my Galentines, my producer being one of them. I've got loads of people in my life that I would wish happy Valentine's Day to. My dad always buys me flowers on Valentine's Day. To this day, has never failed not to get me something or flowers on Valentine's Day. So I feel like Valentine's Day is just about love. I don't feel it necessarily has to be about being in love with somebody, but you can love people and show love and share love. So this episode is not going to be that cringe episode. We're going to try and make it a bit lighthearted and have a laugh today, because I think we all need it. January was a hell of a month and none of us made it sober. Well, at least I didn't. So about time we can have some fun and talk about some real issues and real problems, and I'm about to read all of our problems. So I wanted to talk about Valentine's Day for people who also are grieving. You can miss partners or family and stuff, but just know that Valentine's Day is also a day you can remember them, you can honor their memory, you can think about them, you can do something that you guys enjoyed together. You guys can do something that makes you feel like you're honoring their memory. I know there are a lot of people in my life that have passed. Like, my great grandmother passed away the day before Valentine's Day, so it's a little bit of a touchy subject for me. Not that I had the best relationship with her, but when you lived with someone for so long, you develop a bond with them whether you like it or not. So it's kind of like a harsh reality. It's very bittersweet for me. So I think about it because she had a good relationship with a lot of family members that I really get on with and love to bits, but I didn't necessarily have that good relationship with her. But I still miss little things about her, but then you kind of feel guilty for missing bits about her, because in the end she didn't really care for you or love you. But that's a whole nother therapy session, which my therapist should look forward to. But yeah, I feel like that Valentine's Day and like even over Christmas and New Year, like, grief never goes away. But I want you to know that it's okay to share it with people. It's okay to honor it. It's okay to talk about it. I've lost people in my life who have been gone for, I'm 40 now, 25 years now. And I, to this day, still miss them as much as when they passed away. I've never had a granddad, in the sense where I was never close to any. Like, my dad's parents passed away when he was very young, and I never got to know my mum's side of the family. Like, I knew my granddad on my mum's side a little bit, but never like as close as I wanted to. However, I had a very good relationship with my dad's maternal uncle, and he passed away a couple of years ago. And to this day, I will not go past his house without thinking about him. Shahzaib will go past the house knowing that, oh, that's my big nana's house, which means like my great granddad's house. So he will always think of that house as his house. We have a huge picture of him in our kitchen, of him holding Shahzaib with the biggest smile on his face. So I'm so lucky that he got to meet Shahzaib before he passed. But even to this day, when it comes to like occasions and festivals, we always think of like people we love and we care about. So I want you to know that it is normal. Like, Valentine's Day does not have to be a big, huge celebration. It can be a day of remembrance. It can be a day of bed rotting if you want to bed rot. But just don't forget to love yourself. I think that's really important, because I know you think about so many people, whether it's just you and your child, or you and, like, I don't know, your best friend, or even if it's just you, like, don't forget to appreciate yourself, or, you and your best friend, or you and your kid, or whoever's in your life at that time. Even just take 5 minutes out and just be like, you know what, love is there. And if you're in a place where you don't have any love for yourself, I will put some links in the bottom and some contact details, where if you're really feeling low, because I know this is a time for people to feel really low, that you can contact. But just know you're not alone. You can always message us here at Mostly Meera. There's loads of people, there's loads of support out there. I will put them all in the links in the bios and all in the information. So just know you're not on your own, and you never will be with this podcast. Now for the problems. I'm going to do a mix and match of our Desi problems and our Valentine's Day problems. My number one problem is Meera, my boyfriend, got me a Valentine's Day gift, but I found out he used my bank card to buy it. He swears it was by accident. How do I recover from this? You phone the bank, you change your bank account, you cancel your card, whatever, right? You take your phone, you block his number, and you never speak to that man again. I have nothing else to say on this matter, because no, sorry, do better. And if you have an argument in the comments, please argue in the comments, because absolutely not. Do better. Let's go for problem number 2, shall we? Before I feel like I'm going to have anxiety through this. I'm going to need my producer to actually find my inhaler, because I'm going to get stressed. Now, this is one of our Desi problems. I don't even know if I should be reading these or not. I really don't know. Okay. Hi, Meera. I'm 29, single. Every auntie I meet at a wedding looks at me like I'm an endangered species. I swear, one of them even patted my head like I was a lost puppy. How do I survive these interactions? Right. Next time an auntie comes up to you and says, isn't it your time, like, now to get married? I would just be like, well, isn't it your time for your funeral? Or if they say to you, oh, if you not put on a bit of weight, have you not put on a bit of weight, auntie? Because you know that they put on loads of weight, and their sons are still put on loads of weight and roaming around doing God knows what with God knows who, God knows what powder. So yeah, that is one advice that I will say to you, is that instead of worrying about my love life, auntie, you should worry about your love life with uncle. Because if you're so invested in my love life, is there something going on between your uncle? Because you should be happy instead of worrying about my love life. Right. The next problem. Let's switch it up and go back to our Valentine's Day problems. Meera, my best friend and I decided to do a little Galentine's gift swap. We love a Galentine. So I love my besties, so they're all getting Galentine's gifts. But Galentine's, for me, if you love your girls, Galentine's is the one most important thing, because I love to show my love. Anyway, I digress. We opened our presents and realised we both bought the exact same thing. Are we soulmates? Yeah, marry her. No, I'm joking. You can have your divine feminine soulmate in a woman. I feel like I have female soulmates in every stage of the word, because why does your soulmate have to be a man? Like, why does it have to be your partner? I will never understand that, because you meet so many people in your life, thousands. I feel like we invest in our best friends, especially as women. We invest in our best friends to the point where they will be there through you, through men, through houses, through kids, through anything that you go through, they will be there. Whereas everything else sort of becomes, apart from your children, depending on how well you bring up your children and your relationship with your parents, everything else is temporary, because you physically invest in these friendships, you emotionally invest in these friendships, you mentally invest in these friendships. if you feel like you guys got the same thing for each other, why is that a problem? That's like the greatest gift ever, because you both know each other's mind. That's amazing. That's like the happiest thing ever. Like, I feel like me and my best friend would do the same thing. We would go to like B&M and be like, oh, let's get 5 things that remind each other of each other, and we would probably get like very similar things, thinking of each other. Like today, my producer, being one of my best friends, bought cheese twists into my house. We bought the cheese twists on the same day. I had the cheese twist open in the house, knowing she was coming, but then she bought her own here, thinking that we would both eat it. But I had saved it for her coming, so we would both eat it. Did you see what I mean? Our brain works the same. And a lot of the time, we'll send each other voice notes saying the same thing before one of us has said the same thing. It's like your brain works together. A female friendship is so sacred. Like, I know I can't comment on male friendships because I know they are sacred in a lot of ways too, and I would never comment on that because I see my brother and he has sacred relationships that like we've seen since he was 4 years old. Yeah. And he's 32 now, right? So that I cannot comment. I'm talking purely before the men come at me, that this is just from a female perspective, that if you have a female friendship in that sense, that is a beautiful thing, and keep going. Do it every week. Do, like, if you want to buy each other gifts every, like, do it. Honestly, I promise you, best thing you'll ever do. And that's not even a problem. Why are you sending me stuff? That's not even a problem. Right, let's go back to the dissy things, right? Shall we? I mean, I have a lot, so I'm going to have to like kind of pick and choose. But I will promise you that whatever you have sent me, I will get back to you. If I do not say it in the podcast, I promise I will get back to you. Okay. Whew. This is the juicy one. Meera, my husband literally calls his mum multiple times a day. Tells her everything and sometimes even asks her what he should eat. Is this normal? Congratulations, you married an overgrown toddler. Sorry, but you have, because he is so reliant on his. And the thing is, this is what I feel about the Asian community, and all the men are going to come at me for this, but I don't get, is that you're all raised with, like, what they say, like a silver spoon, where mommy's hand is in your, like, literally in your mouth, feeding her with your own hands, because she does your laundry, she does your cooking, she does your cleaning, she does everything for you. And that's what you again expect from your wife, but then you also expect your wife to clean and cook for you. So this is where, when you get with a man, like, this is what I mean, is when you get with a man, think about who you're getting with, because you have to think about their family, how they've been raised, right? We are living in 2025. We are not in the 1950s. And I don't care where you're from, whether you're from India or this place. I respect cultural customs, right? And I really do. And if you know me, you know my family, you know that I will never disrespect my family. I will never do anything to make shame on their name or whatever they say, right? However, if my dad can cook, does the laundry, cleans, does literally everything, as well as works on a day-to-day basis, can romance my mother, buy her flowers every, like, once a week, takes her away on weekends away, and if my dad has put his standards here, you think I'm gonna give you lot an excuse? Sorry, no. Yeah, my dad is the epitome of a masculine man, right? But he does all those things. And my dad will mop the floor, clean the floor. My dad, if my mum is even this much ill, he will have panic attack, ring my brother, make sure that she's got 7 doctor's appointments, make sure whatever she needs is done, right? If a man who has been married for 45 years and has kept that standard up for 45 years, don't get me wrong, they bicker like cat and dog sometimes, but they can't live without each other. But my dad has made sure to put the effort in, and my mum has made sure to make him be that way. Because when they first got together, don't get me wrong, my father is an amazing man, but he was very spoiled by his grandmother. So when they got together, they learned from each other. They were both young. they taught each other so much about marriage, about relationships, about honesty, about sharing the responsibilities, and now they have such an equal relationship. Now, if my parents who were born in the 50s and 60s can achieve that, ain't none of you noughties, 90s, 80s, anything above that got any excuse, right? I don't care what you say. If that man is not giving you that standard, drop him. And that is my advice to you. Right, our next problem. Meera, my date said he was taking me out for a special meal and he took me to his office canteen and said it was budget friendly. What do I do? You text him, and I don't mean ring him, you text him and you say, okay, tata, bye. Or okay, see you, bye. Yeah, because no, sorry. He could have taken you to Tesco for a meal deal and that would have been better. He could have taken you to Nando's. He could have taken you for a Wagamama's. He could have used a voucher. But his office canteen where he knows he gets a free meal, if he was having issues, he could have expressed to you, you know what? And this is where I think is that men think that women want fancy this, fancy that. No, this is not the case. Is that if we know your situation, we can lower our expectations. Do not give us high expectations. So we're going to take you this, we're going to wind down, we're going to do this, and then just hit us with the low blow. If you tell us from the get-go that, okay, you know what, like my situation isn't great, blah, 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 but maybe we can just like go Tesco's or like, and I'll go like Aldi, get like loads of like picnic stuff, and we can go in the park and just have a really nice picnic and glass of wine together, and like, right, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, right? No one minds. Like Aldi has some of the best wine ever. Sponsor me. But yeah, like literally, nobody cares about how much things cost. It's the approach and it's the way you guys do things. You set high expectations and then you let us down, right? If somebody's expecting us to be picked up and dropped here and do that because you're always in your car and you're always saying, I'll do this and I'll do that, stop giving false hope and stop giving a false reality. Once you say, oh, you know what, like I need to save petrol because I've got to drop my mum to the hospital, I've got to do this, I've got work, I've got this, that, and the other. Okay, then I will get my own Uber, or I will drive you. Do you not think women are independent? Like, how do you think we've got how far we are now? We can be independent, but the thing is that a lot of women show so much strength and independence that sometimes they like to be taken care of. And that's why we seek men, a lot of us seek men that are carers and can look after us, because we're just so tired of thinking for ourselves because we do it 24/7. And I feel like this goes far into another subject, which I'll probably approach in another video, but it's like that situation where you are so focused on like the little things. Oh, she didn't care. She longed me off because I couldn't afford this. Well, it's not that. It's like you promised something and she was relying on that because for once she didn't have to think and she didn't have to plan everything and she didn't have to do it. So she was relying on you to just look after her for the hour and a half you were together, where the 23 hours she has in her life, she has to do everything herself. But if you had already told her, well, you know what, I don't have this and I don't have that, but let's do something like this, she could have planned with you. So it would have made a great date. So this is where I think men, if you don't have the means, do not be embarrassed about it. Just share it with your date or whatever and approach them in a way that they will understand. But if you're trying to do this whole impressive thing, and I know that on TikTok there's this whole like situation where you can't afford this, you can't afford that, but then realistically we know that these situations do not exist in real life, right? We know reality exists, we know bills have to be paid, we know that life exists, we know that partners are 50-50, and not necessarily financially. It means realistically one of you takes one thing, one of you takes one thing, one of you takes the other. Do you know, it's a partnership. But if one of you lies and says I can do this and I can do that, but then when you come down to it and you give the girl a disappointment, I feel this is where the miscommunication is happening. And I feel like I've gone off on a tangent now, but I feel like it doesn't matter. I feel like if he's not been clear to you then just explain to him, look, if you had told me that this was a situation, I would have really appreciated it. However, I have this situation going on, and and especially if you are like in sort of a situation where you have to make a lot of the decisions in your life. As an eldest daughter, I really sympathize with that. But just be honest in your communication and tell him, you know what, like, I cannot. I need someone that is at least thinks about what they're going to do. Whereas taking you to an office canteen without even saying anything is not okay. Sorry. If you don't agree with me, put it in the comments below. But yeah. Moving on to our last problem. God, I don't know. I have quite a few, and I feel like if I miss some, especially with these desi problems, I might save some as well. So I will message you if I answer your problem, so you make sure you watch the episode. Okay. Meera, my in-laws constantly comment on what I wear. If I wear something too modern, they look disapproving. If I wear Indian clothes, they make jokes about me trying too hard, and I can't win. In this situation, sounds like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. I would not care what they think, because if your in-laws judge you, then they are not really your in-laws. Because the way I see it is, your parents-in-law should accept you how your parents accept you. Because if your husband is accepted how your in-laws accept you, do you think that would be the case? Do you think your parents probably bend over backwards for your husband? And if your in-laws are not doing that, why should you care what they think? I would take it in one ear and throw it out the other. And this should be your husband problem, because your husband should be telling his parents, what world do you comment on my wife's clothing? And if he cannot say in what world are you commenting on my wife's clothing, then you have a marriage problem. So I think you need to think about where the root of the problem is, because they should not have freedom to comment on your dress, on what you say, what you do, unless obviously you're being disrespectful, which I doubt you're not. But how you dress is how you dress. Your husband married you knowing how you dress, and if they've got a problem with it, then they need to take it up with your husband, and your husband needs to tell them to be quiet. Because if he can't, then you need to sort that issue out with your husband. And my last problem for the day, I think this is a really important one, because this really hit home when I read it, because it really made me think about when I was younger and when I was going through a lot, and I felt like no one would understand me. This was before like mental health was even a thing and therapy was like the known thing. But I'm going to read you this problem, and I'm going to give you my wholehearted experience, because I probably like felt it. I didn't have much I didn't have the same experience as this girl, but I really hope I can help you with this. And if you have any more messages, please message me, and I will link some websites that can help you and some links that can help you. But she writes to me and she says, "Hi Meera, my parents don't believe in mental health. Anytime I say I'm struggling, they just say, be grateful. Back in my day, we had real problems. How do I get them to understand?" Do you know, it's so hard, because I really do understand their perspective, because in their minds that mental health was not mental health, it was just a hard life just existed as a hard life. But I understand your point of view as someone who went through your point of view, because struggling with your mental health is not easy. So my recommendation is to seek help, and I will link a lot of links down below with the help. However, I think you will need to sit them down, maybe even show them this podcast and say that mental health exists, mental health is real, it is not fun, it is not chosen. It is a chemical imbalance in your brain that is not a chosen behavior. And it is also comes from so many things like trauma, lifestyle, relationships, marriage, anything in the world, diet, and it like literally could be millions of things that affect us in life that could affect one little trigger in your brain. And I feel like it's so downplayed in the South Asian community. And I'm so glad that you have brought it up with us. And I'm really, really, really proud of you for sending this submission in. I will message you back and we will talk about this. But for everyone else that are going through the same thing, that parents just ignore it. I was very lucky where I had parents that accepted mental health. However, I did not have extended family or other family. Like I remember family telling me, "Oh, why are you talking about your mental health in your blog? Like, why do you want people to know things are wrong with you?" And it shook me because I'm like, you have mental health in your own family and you're talking to me about not speaking about it when it could actually help people in your family. When their own children have come to me and said, "Oh my God, thank you for your blog, thank you for your book, thank you for speaking out." And I just want you to know you guys aren't alone. Mental health is such a serious thing and it's such a problem in the South Asia community. You guys are not alone. There is a huge, vast realm of help out there. And even if you don't think your parents can help, there is other help out there. Whatever you decide to do, I feel like maybe if you can, whoever you're close to, your mum or your dad or your brother or your sister, whoever, sit them down and maybe have a conversation with them, be like, "Look, I'm not trying to be like this. I physically cannot control it." And I feel like we have to kind of speak in their language because they just think that being miserable is like probably their life because they had no choice back in those days. So we also have to understand that they just think that life is miserable and it's supposed to be like that. And we're not allowed to choose in our life to be happy. But we are allowed to choose to be happy. And I think that's what we have to open up in our families and our parents is that, you know what, like if you're not happy, you can change that. And I feel like they'll never not see that until we open that up to them. And if you're still struggling, then please, please reach out. Whoever you are, you know, I will try my best to get back to everyone. We have a team on board that will get back to people. You know, my brother's on board. I have my producer that will help me. We have so many people that will help you reach out with numbers and places and people that will help you. But I'm going to wrap it up on that note because I feel like on a Valentine's Day episode, I know that a lot of you are going through a lot. So I just want to send you all my love. I feel like this Valentine's Day, tell someone that you love them, whoever it is, I don't care. But that is my thing to you, is tell whoever you want, tell someone, but I want you to tell someone who you've never told that you love them. Someone in your life that has been there for you, that has been like consistent, whether it's a family member, a friend, a cousin, whatever it is, or colleague or anything. You tell that person you love them, send it to me or make a TikTok and say, "You know what, tell me you love them," or tell them you love them, and hashtag it for me and let me know who it is, or tag Mostly Meera Podcast on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, and let me know. But I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for all the love you've given me. I appreciate it so much. Please watch the podcast. Please like my YouTube videos. It really means a lot. Please comment if you can. I love you guys so much. Okay, tata, see you, bye.